Introducing the official Werx coffee in 3 bold flavors. Fog Navigator, the master of mornings, chocolate and apricot. Texas Pecan, Lone Star Luxury, pecan and cocoa. House Decaf, full flavor, no buzz, smoky dark chocolate. 3 bold new flavors now available at monkeywerxus.com/shop or scan the QR code on screen now.
All right. Hey, welcome, folks. Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. It's going to be your Sitrep. It's about 11 a.m. Central Time, coming to you live from the Monkey Lounge here in the great state of Texas. And without further ado, let's get on over here to the board. If you would, hit that like, subscribe, and bell for notification so you get the latest and greatest. And let's take a look at Skyglass. As always, the best aircraft aviation-related tracker on the planet. We're sitting at around 200 mil aircraft up right now. That's just over the United States. We're going to peel that banana back just a little bit and see what this actually makes up. We do have about 30 H-60s, which you can see that's mostly training stuff here in this general region. A lot of stuff going on up on the East Coast. But then let's look at the air refuelers because that really tells the story. 21 KC-135s. Notice that one heading down here to the border. And then let me prioritize this so it's alphabetically sequenced. And then 9 767-200 Pegasus added to that mix, which gives us about 29 aircraft currently up in terms of air refuelers. And notice we do have some stuff out here off the eastern seaboard down south, right? That's... Now, we saw that the other day, too, which would indicate maybe we got some fighter coverage down here and on this border as well. So the others, you kind of expect to see it in those general regions. We do have an interesting TFR that's out here, security-related one in Idaho we're going to look at here in just a minute. But let's hop over to Europe, take a gander, and see what we've got going on there. It looks like we're starting to see one for a change. And that is over Poland, so that would indicate we got some fighters up over that typical area, probably F-22s if I had to guess. And that's kind of it for that aspect of it. Now, what we're going to cover in the show today, we're going to talk about some weather modification stuff, and as always. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about this whole Ukraine Bohica moment, as well as some of the border stuff that's going on right now. It just seems to be such a mess out there. It's just incredible, the things that are going on around the world. So let's do this. Let's hop back over here to CONUS. We're going to undo these, take away their traces, and then we're going to jump back over here to CONUS. And then as we get looking at this, let's get into the watch list. You can see we're started off over in Europe. It looks like that's a survey plane in Portugal. Some drone activity over Turkey as always. Ruski coming out of, looks to be kind of in that Azerbaijan region. Some German Intel spy balloons that are up. And then that's another drone there. It's just to the north there in the general area. And then we got something transitioning over as I'm just trying to pull my screen to get us closer. This is probably one of your agency boys, if I had to guess. Yeah, it looks that way. It's a little G5XA call sign. Actually, tail number XA something. Those are typically Mexico, but this is not. This is one we've tracked for a while. Somebody coming back from the region. And then the usual mess. We have a sea of survey planes that are up right now. When does the craziness stop? Like I said before, we are over 30,000. 30,000 for the year survey flights. Insane number. So we strip those out, just kind of clean things up a little bit. Notice we still have, a handful of things up that we normally would see, like Homeland Security, NOAA, which are going to be your weather guys. We have some spec ops there, right there, the one I just touched on, that purple-looking fuchsia one. Yeah, we'll look at those closer here in a little bit as well. But yeah, that is a British drone, and then that is a Intel balloon 80,000 feet up. All right. Okay, speaking of intel, let's look at what the latest is. The Tucson area looks to be normal, Southern California, but this one doesn't. We get looking over Atlanta, Hotlanta, and down along kind of like Savannah, Georgia type of area. Look like they're looking for something or looking at something. Yeah, that Patriot Act is something else, isn't it? Just letting them look behind the curtain on a regular basis. Over DC as well. You know, some of this I get for security, but you know that ain't what it's being used for. It's spying on us, and we're just getting caught up in the data. And then look at the amount of intel gathering over Belarus and Kaliningrad. There is something afoot that they are really, really concerned about right now. And like I said, calm before the storm, maybe. Look at this over the Mediterranean as well. Very close look between Tripoli and Benghazi out over the water area. Then we get over Israel, same stuff. As always, we typically see that there, okay? All right, as we're talking about intel piece, notice this one here just kind of drops off that flight, just kind of ends transmission. Where did it go? Don't know. But there's that. And then you got a little bit down in Philippines there, as always, right? So let's do this. We're going to jump into the survey piece. Like I had said before, 30,000 since January. That is just an astronomical number. It just unprecedented, okay? Again, back over the same areas. Like I said, they're polishing the data. When things go hot, like a lockdown, whatever may happen, this is all going to become pertinent because this is how they're going to basically box us in, all right? This is all about control, being able to contain situations, all right? I will bet my life on it. That's exactly what this is all about. And the same thing here. Look at the populous areas that, you know, definitely have people that will step up and get jiggy if they have to, right? All right, down to Australia. It's same as it has been. They're covering the same areas. I mean, how many different looks can you get at one particular thing? Evidently a lot, okay? And so, you know, eastern side of Australia, down into Tas, over into Perth, etc. All right, let's talk graybirds, right? This is out to China Lake. This can be your agency guys for the most part, although they do have DoD contracts, thus the China Lake flights going back and forth. But notice it just comes out of D.C. That is Cartersville, Georgia. That's their hub. So that's why you see a lot of stuff centralizing there. We see these guys popping in and out of all kinds of places. Guantanamo Bay, for example. Africa. This flight I don't get. I don't know what they're doing. Weird capability. What are they looking at? This is like it's a weird pattern. You can see it here. A little better. It's like a four-leaf clover kind of thing. But that is near Bucharest in Romania. All right. Now, let's talk NOAA for a second. If you're in any of these areas, I would just say watch the weather. All right. It's either going to cloud up on you or it may start raining on you. Look at this one here. This is kind of a strange area for them to be in unless you look at the current weather and then you kind of go, well, maybe that makes a little more sense. What are they doing? I don't know. But they could be doing anything, seeding, anything in the name of science, right? But just note the locations. And little one there near Bermuda. We got a storm off the East Coast, so that's probably why. But Florida, etc. All right, now this is where it starts to get interesting. Let's talk weather mod for a second. I showed you the other day. This is current. This is the last 3 days. Again, out in West Texas to the west side of Fort Worth. So just watch if you're in these areas because it will straight up get crazy. Same thing in Dakotas. What I'm finding, I'm going to show you a video here in a minute of what happens. We've talked about Saudi. We're going to look at that again just as a reminder. And then over New York. So if you're getting really strange rain, like heavy, heavy rain, a lot of wind, and these guys are over your area, all I can say is if they're over your area, you need to just lock it down and just buckle up because more than likely, if they're doing the seeding, that is what you're going to experience, okay? Get down over Saudi, nothing there today, which is kind of strange. They've been hitting it pretty heavily as of recently. So, okay, now let me show you this. We're going to go into some of the detail here in terms of this weather mod flight. This was what I showed you the other day and where they were spraying. And right here, this is the area they are spraying, okay? So they flew in, they sprayed this spot, and then they basically flew back to base, and then this whole area just lit up, and that's why we had super high winds, etc. All right, so but you can see the storms as they kind of start to develop out here. They're already getting good storm fronts coming in, but when they hit over that area, it just lights up. This is what it looks like on the ground when they do what they do, okay? You're talking 60, 70 mile an hour winds hitting these trees, things breaking, snapping. It is absolutely insane how hard this wind blows, the amount of debris that hits, all of it. It's absolutely crazy. So, okay, there is that piece. Now, this is the Saudi piece. Remember what I was telling you the other day, our local weather basically said, hey, you know what, this part of the rain that's coming in, we didn't expect it. We don't know how it even developed. But look at this in Saudi. They said the same thing. They didn't know these guys are out spraying. And they're showing the weather that hits just to the south side of Mecca and Mecca, Medina region of Saudi Arabia. Talking about how hot it is and everything else. And then everything goes sideways like it always does. Here you can see trees blowing, flooding. This is what they do. Okay. Now let's go back to this piece, and we're going to look at this particular. Let me see if I've got. Let's go here. That was that piece. Okay. Now I'm going to show you. This was the flight. You'll see them take off. This is not Weather Modification LLC. This is actually a company called SOAR, S-O-A-R. It's seeding operations and atmospheric research, okay, down in Texas. And you'll see them, they dip into this general area, and then you'll watch them. They'll start to get real close to storm, and they start to do this little spin around deal right here, all right? And what they're doing is they're just igniting that storm to where it just becomes a supercell. Insane rain. The water droplets get super fat and heavy. If there's any hail in it, the hail gets fat and heavy too. So, but this is them in action. This is the other day, the weather I just showed you over Texas. That was the outcome from that, just this single flight. So again, if these guys are in your area, just know you are probably going to get some very strange weather coming in. The same thing with the NOAA guys. Okay. All right. That's going to be the weather mod aspect of this. Let's move on over to, this is actually the other piece to the weather. And we're going to look at this one flight because I do want to point out so you can look it up yourself. But Volcanic, this is an aviation alert. Just notice this is a volcano in Russia blowing out. This is Alaska, Anchorage up here. This tells pilots, you know, at certain altitudes, don't fly through this area because it'll mess up your engines, etc. Like little fine beads of glass. You can imagine being sandblasted in on a fan blade or something along those lines. Even on your surface, your nose cowling, engine cowls, whatever, wing surface, leading edge. This thing can actually, you know, do some stuff to it if it's thick enough, all right? But this is the latest one that's spewing a lot of ash. Watch the wind direction because it can sometimes get carried out into, you know, the United States or into Canada from there, all right? Everything else, look at, these are the volcanoes that are actually spewing ash that have alerts. Dukono, as always, Simaru, and then Ibico, and that one I'm not going to even pronounce or try to pronounce. So there you have it. Don't ask me what this particular grid is that seems to be missing something. Been that way for a while on this app in the last, I say a while, last couple weeks. Okay. So this, if you're looking at ForeFlight, you're looking at the weather that's coming through. This is that TFR related to the tornado, the volcano. There we go. And Then we got some other boxes up here to the north. We kind of watch those. That looks to be somewhat of a missile box, maybe a short-range missile box. And then if we put this yellow into motion, when we talk about turbulence and what's coming, just watch. Remember, I was just showing you this area is where NOAA, right, out over that general region. And look at how it just explodes and starts doing its thing here. So, interrelated, probably so. There it is right there. Okay, that's the NOAA flights we were just looking at, right? When I said, I got something going on right here. And let me speed it up and I'll show you that slop right there across the screen right here. Okay, yeah, that's this area right in here, all right? So, okay. Now, the other piece too, let's bounce over here to this side. This is a security TFR. We were showing the air refuelers that were out in this general region. And notice where the jet stream is kind of taking all of this. But there's something here. I don't know what it is, mil-op, but it's security. And I can't tell what it is tied to. You know, normally it's a hazards if it's fire, et cetera, but a security TFR is a little strange, especially that pattern. So if you're in that general region, just pay attention to it. This is where your jet stream's dipping right now. So anyway, just gives you a little heads up. I don't see any other TFRs going on out there other than space ops stuff as it relates to flashbang, but looks like he's got some weather coming into his area. Nice little rainy weekend. All right. Now, let's move on away from the NOTAMs and let's talk. This is the flight 4125G. These are the weather. This is the operations, seeding operations and atmospheric research, aka SOAR, SOAR. These are guys that are doing a lot of the seeding stuff, right? Just like Weather Modification LLC. So if you're wanting to look up in your trackers, just go look for this company right here. You can get some tail numbers. That'll get you started. If you're in Skyglass, you just key in that in the database, and then you just select and highlight this and drop it into the registration owner, or sorry, the owner block, not registration. This would be registration. And it'll pull up every airplane they own. So anyway, that's where we are. But you can see this is just a basic little aircraft. It doesn't have, you know, from the looks of it, like you would think it'd have all kinds of stuff. It does. It's on the backside of the wings, got some things to how they do their seating, but it's just not anything over the top. Doesn't take a lot to really mess things up. All right. Now, speaking of the stuff that's going on planet-wise, we talk volcanoes, we talk weather mod. This is the worst global food crisis in modern history, and it's about to go an entirely new level. This was a write-up here on Zero Hedge. The reason they're saying this is because basically this is by 2022, right? Approximately 735 million people, or 9.2% of the entire planet, found themselves in a state of chronic hunger, a staggering rise compared to 2019. This data underscores the severity of the situation. And they're saying, you know, this is all tied to the fact that there's, you know, you have massive inflation. You have crops that are being destroyed or just, you know, failing to produce, massive droughts, locusts. There's all kinds of stuff happening all around the world that are basically taking away the main staple, which is like rice and corn. Those are two things. Rice is for the people, obviously. Corn, we eat a lot of corn, but that's the grains are what feed the animals. So if they're not eating, you're not eating them. So at least not a lot of you. So story, we had talked a little bit about China. I said when we were 30 days out, I go, this is one we got to keep on our radar because it has huge implications to our stock market and a whole bunch of other things. It looks like they have made a payment on the interest. Country Garden makes a $22.5 million payment with $15 billion still to go. They're saying that this embattled Chinese property giant basically has avoided default by meeting the deadline to pay the interest on the small loans, but it must repay billions within the next year. So eyes on that one. It looks like they have basically staved off this massive deal that was going to probably impact the world. On over here to Flashbang. It is Friday, the 22nd of September. Looks like he doesn't have really anything big going other than this right here. Just keep your eyes on it because, the old 2A thing definitely coming at you. They can't execute their plan with the largest military in the world, us, the civilians, without taking these things away from you. Okay. So, anyway, remember, it's for your safety. Okay, we talked about this the other day, the F-35. Don't think for a second that and let me do this, I'm going to make sure this thing is paused. Don't think for a second that the timing of the report I'm about to give you from the same military contractor isn't to stop the loss. Man, the pop-ups today are killing me. From a stock perspective, okay? So this is just more shade. Remember, they just lost an F-35. They found it. The reason you see the military deployed on the grounds of where that F-35 is and how they've got its security just completely locked down so nobody can get in and out of there is because the coatings on that aircraft are super, super secretive, okay? If somebody gets their hand on a panel from that with that coating, they can basically reverse engineer how we make our aircraft stealthy. The Chinese would love to get their hands on that. They probably already have some of that because of the Clintons, et cetera. But you know what I'm saying here, okay? That is something that when they paint those aircraft with that stealth coating, everything, the floor gets scrubbed and cleaned afterwards because even the littlest drop of that getting into the wrong hands can really be very bad, okay? Okay, now, F-35 military fighter jets mission capable 55% of the time. This thing goes into a lot of detail, but basically DoD operates 450 F-35 jets, and they're planning on basically growing that to 2,500. They're saying that it's for a lot of reasons. A lack of parts. The supply chain is broken. They don't have everything they need to keep them flying. That is a major deal. The depots aren't stood up yet, so they don't have a place to really take them to be fixed to the degree that they need to maintain 450 jets, much less 2,500. So this is actually not a good scenario. We talk a lot about the fact that our military is not prepared to fight our enemies because we've given most of our stuff to the Ukrainians. And so you turn around and watch this and you go, man, we are the last thing you want to do is to be picking a fight with a bully if you got a broken arm or you got a loss of sight or something, right? Your ability to fight them is going to be hindered tremendously. And we continue to poke at that bear on a regular basis, and who is probably our number one enemy outside of China, and we don't even have our stuff squared away, okay? So really not a good scenario to be in. All right. Speaking of the Bohicas, enough is enough. Over 24 GOP senators, which, it's not a lot, but it's enough to maybe make some rumblings. House lawmakers say no more funding for Ukraine. For the love of God, please, somebody get some traction with this. The interesting thing is that they're trying to pass another $24 billion on top of the $130 billion that's already been pushed. And then look at this. It says here, a total of $135 billion. Sorry, they must have slipped a little bit more in. That's what we know about, okay? Where is the stuff we don't know about, and what is the level? I would imagine it's astronomical because the deep state has a lot of black money, if you know what I'm saying. A lot of black programs, a lot of stuff that no checks and balances. They have the ability to basically push money in, and nobody even knows it's going there. Okay, so just eyes on that. Here's the other piece. Biden announces a $325 million military aid package during the White House meeting with the porn star Zelensky. The announcement came as Ukrainian leader met with Biden and other U.S. top leaders to appeal for continued aid. Yeah, over here panhandling as always. And so that was the first piece, okay? But then it gets better. And this is where, when I say better, that's I'm being facetious here. Biden then tells Zelensky that the U.S. will send Ukraine ATACMS, long-range missiles. This is the very thing. Remember, this has a 300-kilometer range, so 185, 186 miles. The very thing you don't want this guy having his hands on, because you know he's going to lob them into Moscow and everywhere else. Very, very bad for us to give them to him. And again, who makes the ATACMS? Lockheed Martin. So you've got Lockheed, who is basically taking it in the shorts relative to the F-35, which is their main bread and butter. I'm sure the stock has just been in the tank. And then all of a sudden you gotta stop the bleeding on a Friday. What do? You pump out a news about providing, another Lockheed product, the ATACMS. Probably other things as well, but this is what hit the news line. Now, the thing is with this, they did not say when they would get them or how many they were going to get. He just said that we're going to let you have them. So eyes on that. This is going to be your data point for the day, because this one will definitely get some type of a rebuttal from the Russians. Okay. And then here, this. You can't make this stuff up. Pentagon exempts Ukraine operations from potential government shutdown. So as we are talking about shutting our stuff down, our Pentagon has basically said, don't worry, funding will still continue to Ukraine. Let that sink in for a minute. Forget the United States and everything we've got here. We are basically going to continue to fund the billions of dollars into Ukraine when we can't even pay our own bills here. We can't agree on how to pay our bills and shutting it down. So that, if you want to talk about just a lack of representation in our country on our behalf, there is no responsibility or no accountability when it comes to our money. Go back to the $21 trillion. Like, how does that just all of a sudden just get pushed out onto a ledger and nobody even noticed? They noticed, they hit it, and somebody got wind of it later. So anyway, looks like that's the porn star here and his wife, and then Secretary Austin, Defense Secretary Austin. And so where we are. All right. Bounce on over here. Ukraine missile strikes headquarters of the Russian Black Sea Fleet. Remember, we were talking in the last Sitrep, the fact that they hit one of the dry docked submarines. And I was also showing you the fact that there was an area where the Ukrainians had told the villagers with families, get out of the area. You don't need to be here, and then nothing happened. That was almost 10 days ago. So here we are. We've got a major strike that hits Crimea. It looks like it hit the headquarters to I guess, Russia's Black Sea Fleet. All right. So not good. Again, probably watch over the weekend. You may see some kind of a pushback from the Russians against the Ukrainians in the next several days. All right. Okay. Now somebody's getting smart, but I think it's because they've realized that, hey, listen, there's no way I can continue to fund these guys. We're giving them everything we've got, and we're not going to have anything to fight with ourselves if we continue this path. And so Poland is now saying they're no longer going to be arming Ukraine because they need to worry about their homeland. And I can see why. I mean, if you give them everything you got, they get collapsed, then you're next, right? Especially if you're, the prime focus. You've got military bases in here that are forward operating bases like RZE Poland down here. And you've got Belarus, who is pro-Russian, your enemy right here along most of your eastern flank. And then to your northern flank, you've got Kaliningrad, which is Russia. So this is not good. And don't forget, too, the Czechs as well as Slovakia. They have a lot of pro-Russians in there still as well. So not a good place to be in if you're giving everybody everything you got. All right. So we'll continue to watch that as this definitely is going to unfold. You've already heard Germany and several other neighboring countries say, as part of NATO that, hey, we can't give them any more. UK is saying the same thing. There's no way we can even fight or take on Russia based on our current inventory levels before we started giving things to Ukraine, much less now. Okay. All right. Over to Biggs Army Airfield. The only thing that catches my eye here in El Paso is this GLEX flight, which is going to be in 1098 Lima. That's going to be a LaSalle Aviation. That's a spy bird, folks. All right. It is a government contracted spy bird under LaSalle Aviation. And they just moved an asset into that little corner there just north of the border in Texas. Nothing else on the board to look at other than Eastern Airlines coming in from Salt Lake City, Utah. Okay, over to Dover. A couple 747s coming in. I see, remember, and this is key because we are overdue for giving Ukraine some M1 Abrams, all right, some of the new ones. And looks like you got a 747 coming in from National Cargo. That from Nantucket is it's probably troops. It's a 767 Camber flight. And then another 747 from Chicago, another 747 from JFK, and two of them from JFK. All right, we go down here to the scheduled board, and you've got Coletta coming from Chicago, and that 747-800 coming in from Kentucky. That's UPS. And then this one from JFK. So you got a lot of 747s coming into Dover. And more than likely, they're going to be picking up some tanks and delivering them to RZE or Ramstein, more than likely. Here's one headed to Frankfurt, so that may be another one. This is really interesting. Notice this. Where is it going to? Bucharest. So you got a 747 heading to Bucharest. I'm going to change what I said a minute ago. What that tells me, okay, I'll tell you what I think is going on here. 747-400 to Bucharest. You've got, which is in Romania. You've got one headed into Frankfurt. You've got one going into RZE Poland. Let's head on down to the next, and then one into Ramstein. It is quite possible that we are positioning some assets as we get back over to this particular board right here. Let's go look at the region. All right. So this is Bucharest here, which is, look what this is close to, right? Moldova. All right. Running right into the southern flank of Ukraine right in here. And then you've got it going into RZE Poland, which is down here, which is the northern flank of Ukraine. And then you've got some going into Ramstein, Frankfurt here, right? So looks like we are maybe dispersing some things into the area, into the region. If we're starting to deliver some Ukrainian supplies coming into Bucharest, that remember Constanta, the port of Constanta is right here as well. No telling what's coming here and being offloaded, but there could be a pretty good, brunt of stuff getting delivered here. Artillery, tanks, whatever. Okay. All right. Let's move on. We talked, let's go look at Ramstein real fast to see how busy this is. Just see the Brits coming in. We see one of the base commanders coming out of Wiesbaden, looks like arriving there. Western Global coming in from Toronto, Canada. So I guess Canada's delivering some stuff. Not seeing anything else. To see where they go from here. Atlas Air, destination unknown. And that one's headed back to Hong Kong. So that's going to probably go pick up some more artillery rounds, if I had to guess. But it's going to fly from here into Hong Kong, probably empty. Not picking up artillery from Hong Kong by any means. Actually, that may be going back into service, picking up a delivery of something from Hong Kong. Remember, a lot of this stuff is not coming via boat right now. They're putting it on charter flights like Atlas Air and Coletta and National Cargo, etc. Pharmaceuticals, and they're flying it over because We've depleted our supply line so much so that you can't wait for it to get here by boat, so you're having to fly it over. Okay, which they've got the room to do it in their overhead. No two ways about it. So, all right, here are your camber flights. Oh, look at the 747s here at the top. Again, down here you get into some 6.7s, look like 3 767s, taking off or originating out of Doha. That's Middle East, Kuwait, Middle East. I don't know where that place is. Guriat, that sounds like a Middle East name. Travis and California. So, Little River. Evidently, it's a big river. That's the Pacific Ocean, so that can't be right. Somewhere around here, but I don't know why it's out over the water. Okay. And let's take a look at the Brits. I've got a couple flights interior to the United States. And then over here, looks like some stuff headed down into, or actually taking off out of Cyprus, just getting airborne, climbing out. And no telling where that's headed from there. Maybe back to home base right here. Okay, NATO is no longer on the board. We'll move on. National Cargo got 2 flights up. One Airbus coming out of Camp Douglas, Wisconsin to Whiteman Air Force Base. And then the other Anchorage to Miami. So I don't know what that's related to. That could be troops, moving some troops around. Okay. And then here are your Omni flights, 777s and 67s. And those are probably all troop related. I imagine we're in a rotation mode right now, probably every 6 months or something. They're going to be moving things. So, all right, let's talk immigration for a minute. This is getting crazy. It's absurd. So Abbott has gone through and basically put in all of this razor wire. You're not going to get across that and live. You're going to bleed out when you get in the water. But this is, that's a sea of razor wire. Yeah. But check this out. They're saying basically that the feds have come in, Border Patrol, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, and cut the razor wire on the southern border, opening the floodgates to illegal immigrants coming in. This is happening down near Eagle Pass. Really, really bad. The fact that they can come in and do this in our state, I'm telling you, we need to just basically secede and get away from the union, and then just tell them to pack sand, because it's just incredible that the feds can do this to the state level and we take it. We should have the ability to just say no, right? I will not comply. Okay, Eagle Pass mayor saying thousands are crossing the border without any consequences, and he's just asking them to enforce the law. And they're basically coming into our country illegally, and they're saying that Eagle Pass is a city of about 28 to 30,000 people, and that these folks that are coming in are not all good. Most of them are not. They are definitely illegal because they're breaking the law, but they come in and they're all around the town. There's crime is going up. There's just a lot of things. Just watch, because if this continues, you're going to notice that the cartel, who's already there, is going to have a stronghold in this city, because they will move in all the assets and they'll stand up shop, and good luck getting them out. It'll be very, very tough to do so. All right. Okay. And then this is going to be your flights. Just notice they're to the interior of the country. Again, this one's, look at this, coming out of Harlingen, headed up here to the north. Then you got this one coming into Greensboro, as always. Looks like it was avoiding some weather, and several coming from down south into Central America. More than likely empty coming back, but taking people out. When you see them going into the interior from the border, yeah, they're just bringing them straight in at this point, and more than likely tied to Amazon. They give them a place to stay for, I think it's 4 12s is what I was told, and there's 4 people to a room, and they work those shifts, and then they just rotate them out. No benefits. They just pay them, I think, like $18 an hour or something. So that's where your jobs are going if you work in Amazon. All right. All right. Well, listen, that's going to do it. We're going to continue to keep our eye on what's going on with the Ukraine aspect. The fact that we are promising them ATACMS, which is considered a long-range missile, is not good by any means. Like I said before, there's nothing that I'm seeing that would de-escalate the situation other than maybe Trump coming in and just calling a general stand down and getting everybody in check. That's the only thing I think. With the current regime that's in play and the deep state on their heels, this is going to just continue to escalate until something pops off. So, all right, that's it. You guys be safe out there. Have a blessed weekend, and we will see you soon. Monkey out. Thanks for watching, folks. You can check out the latest gear and products by selecting the QR code on your screen now or go to monkeyworksus.com.